Greetings, my name is Owen Ryder, and I am the author of the Christian book, The Hourglass by Owen Ryder. At the time that John the Apostle wrote the book of Revelation, he was 90 years old and, because of his Christian beliefs, a prisoner living on an island called Patmos. It was on the Lord's Day during a time of worship in the Spirit, as he referred to it. John went into what modern man might interpret as a trance of sorts and suddenly heard a voice like a trumpet coming from behind him. When he turned, he began to see things and was told to write down what he was seeing. Initially, he saw 7 specific churches that research have confirmed truly existed and indeed experienced the conditions that John alludes to in his letters to each. Those churches and their specific conditions have come to also represent the history of the church and the phases the church has periodically gone through, both good and bad. Deeper into the book, John talks more about future events and how they will unfold and affect mankind. And whereas Christians will not be completely exempt from future trials, much of the worst that will take place on the earth will undoubtedly ramp up once the church is raptured. From the perspective of objective biblical doctrine, it all seems to happen quite instantly, but in real time such things always seem to take time to unfold as an endless road paved with seemingly non-essential events, too numerous to list, are in reality all part of what connects the biblical narrative. In Genesis 12, we are introduced to Abraham and eventually his wife Sarah. Abraham is the head of an ancient clan of 500 people or so. He left his home in Ur of the Chaldees, which is modern-day Iraq, because of the wicked culture that existed there, to seek out a less idealistic existence. It was after that he has his life's most significant event, as when in Genesis 18 he literally dines with the Lord and 2 of his angels. It was in this meeting that the Lord tells Abraham that his offspring would become a great nation, and that despite both he and his wife being old, they would nevertheless have a child. Unfortunately, it did not happen according to Abraham and his wife's timetable, so Sarah availed to Abraham a younger servant girl who indeed became pregnant. That boy child, who was born not according to a faith in God's promise and plan, they named Ishmael, and or the wild child. Be that as it may, Abraham and Sarah faithfully attempted to have a child between them, and in God's timing, the child according to the Lord's promise was born, who they named Isaac. And in a not so insignificant turn of events, Ishmael and his mother would eventually be forced to leave. Isaac would grow and find a wife named Rebekah, who would become pregnant and have such a difficult pregnancy that she would inquire of the Lord as to why. To which his reply in Genesis 25 is that 2 nations are in your womb, and there will be strife between them. This today is what we see as the conflict between Jew and Arab. Eventually she did give birth to twin sons called Jacob and Esau. Esau was born first and had very notable red hair and a carefree, even careless nature. And whereas Jacob would grow and maintain the line of faith and promise, Esau, against his parents' wishes, would marry into the family line of all people, Ishmael. Eventually that would become a people called the Edomites, who, though considered Jewish even all the way up to Jesus' time, were actually not, and even today such people remain at enmity with God's people. Fast forward to Frankfurt, Germany, in the year 1743, and we meet Amschel Moses Bauer, a goldsmith who opens a corn shop. The sign on his shop was a Roman eagle on a red shield. The shop was thus called the Red Shield, which would become a symbol to revolutionary-minded Jews in Europe. He had a brilliant son named Meyer, who specialized in money and finance and made a name for himself. After his father passed, Meyer would return to purchase his father's shop, the Red Shield, going as far as changing his own name to Red Shield. Today we pronounce that name as Rothschild, a well-known family in the banking industry. Meyer would have 5 sons whom he taught what he knew about banking and send them all to the important capitals of Europe, with entire nations being some of his clients, which only increased his family's influence. In time, this family would become a part of the occult group that we know today as the Illuminati, as well as having a hand in creating the Federal Reserve Bank in 1913, a private institution with a one-world type of influence over worldwide monetary policy. Harkening back to the beginning of this video, where an old man is humbly worshiping God in the Spirit, we must take heart in the fact that not even the influence of an earthly shopkeeper and his descendants can compare to that heavenly moment when God's Spirit captures our attention and we simply turn and listen. My name is Owen Ryder. Thank you for listening.